commandeered an entire serving platter!
Oh, yeah.
Well, my definition of an addiction is something really simple. Something that you can't stop.
Oh, make me suffer, please. It hurts.
We bring to ourselves situations that will fulfill the biochemical craving of the cells of our body by creating situations that meet our chemical needs.
It always happens to me. Why?
Every day.
And an addict will always need a little bit more in order to get a rush or a high of what they're looking for chemically.
Don't tell me to calm down. You're always bossing me around.
So my definition really means that if you can't control your emotional state, you must be addicted to it.
I knew this was gonna happen. That's not what we agreed upon. You're not going to screw me.
Let's read the contract,
You
dear.
won't do anything about it, so I
No,
will.
ma'am. Don't dip your half-eaten shrimp back into the cocktail sauce.
Screw you and your health codes. I am the bride's sister. I'll stick my ass in the cocktail sauce if I damn well please.
Come on. I want you to get out there and serve and make sure everybody has a good laugh. Fun, fun, fun. Listen, you won't do anything about it, so
Talk just like this.
What is reality? What is the real reality?
So how can anyone really say they're in love with a specific person, for example? They're only in love with the anticipation of the emotions they're addicted to. Because the same person could fall out of favor the next week by not complying. My goodness, doesn't that change the landscape of our emotional outlook on personal needs and identities?
Oh, yeah.
No. You got the punchline wrong. It's a photographer's joke. Go on about your music? Are you okay?
right, and I've done that clean fucking some good.
When?
Straight now.
I was with the groom.
Hey, I can read it.
I'm sorry. I was with the groom just now. Yeah, he loves Paulette. Where? Polacks, they all look the same in a tux. You're not Polish. Hi. Thanks. Here. This will help.
Oh, thank you.
No problem. That was in my mouth. Forget it.
So, what's your name?
Elliot. Hi.
Yeah.
It's,
I'm Amanda.
Hey, Amanda. I should have asked you what your name. You photograph a lot of weddings?
I hate it.
I'm doing the thing again with my hands. I'm sorry.
We are emotions, and emotions are us. Again, I can't separate emotions. When you consider that every aspect of your digestion, every sphincter that opens and closes, every group of cells that come in for nourishment and then moves out to heal something or repair something, those are all under the influence of the molecules of emotion. I mean, it's this total buzz.
So you ask if emotions are bad. Emotions are not bad. They're life. They color the richness of our experience. It's our addiction that's the problem. The thing that most people don't realize is that when they understand that they are addicted to emotions...
Another drink?
It's not just psychological. It's biochemical. Think about this. Heroin uses the same receptor mechanisms on the cells that our emotional chemicals use. It's easy to see then that if we can be addicted to heroin, then we can be addicted to any neuropeptide, any emotion.
To the groom!
To the groom.
Woo!
What's up, guys?
What's up, man?
Hello. What do we need?
Some boxes. Put out. Yeah, baby.
So,
The relevant search command that's going on is related to finding a certain emotional state. I mean, we can't even direct our eyes without having an emotional aspect to it.
Oh, gosh. She wouldn't fall for me.
Oh, mama! Woo! What the hell are you waiting for? Come on, you little pussies! Jeez, I can't believe you guys! What are you? Ooh, come on, just get the hell out of the way! Hi there, honey! Come on, baby, you know you want it. Oh, don't give me that look.
What about people who are addicted to sex?
Hello there, big boy.
Is there a rocket in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
expensive equipment, all right?
Some polka music, okay?
I'm gonna play
These
the
people
polka.
want to hear some
I know
polka
they're gonna
music.
play the
You
polka.
can't have a Polish wedding without polka music!
No, would you leave it alone? Keep your fucking hands.
How can you have a Polish wedding without any fucking Polish
Keep
music?
your fucking hands off my equipment, man.
Like I said before, it ain't a Polish wedding without a polka!
Our mind literally creates our body.
So it all starts in the cell. The cell is a protein-producing machine, but it gets its signal from the brain.
One of the things about receptors is they change in their sensitivity. If a given receptor for a given drug or internal juice is being bombarded for a long time at a high intensity, it will literally shrink up. There will be less of them, or it will be hooked up in such a way that it is desensitized or downregulated. So the same amount of drug or internal juice will elicit a much smaller response.
if we're bombarding the cell with the same attitude and the same chemistry over and over again on a daily basis, when that cell finally decides to divide, when it produces a sister cell or a daughter cell, that next cell will have more receptor sites for those particular emotional neuropeptides and less receptor sites for vitamins, minerals, nutrients, fluid exchange, or even the release of waste products or toxins. Now, all aging is a result of improper protein production. What happens when we age? Our skin loses elasticity. Well, elastin is a protein. What happens to our enzymes? We don't digest as well. What happens to our synovial fluid? Those are proteins. They become brittle and stiff. What happens to our bones? They become thin. So all aging is a result of improper protein production. So then the question arises, does it really matter what we eat? And does nutrition really have an effect if the cell doesn't even have the receptor sites after 20 years of emotional abuse to even receive or to let in the nutrients that are necessary for its health?
Okay, guys, it's time for a course correction on our trajectory along the path of our adventure. And that course correction is the movement to a new paradigm, just an expansion of the old. Just as the universe is larger than we thought it was in our modeling. And it's always larger than we think it is.
I hate you. Hate you. You idiot! You suck! Look at you! You're fat! You're ugly! You're worth nothing! You're getting old! I hate you!
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? If thoughts can do that to water, imagine what our thoughts can do to us.
No one has ever came along and ever given you sufficient, intelligent knowledge about your beautiful self, how you work from the inside out. Why do you have addictions? Because you have nothing better. You have dreamt of nothing better because no one has ever taught you how to dream better. Do I think that you're bad? I don't think you're bad. Do I think you're good? I don't think you're good either. I think you're God.
In general, the field of psychiatry really doesn't allow for enough freedom of action on people's part, meaning an awful lot of problems, not all of them to be sure, but an awful lot of problems that get labeled as psychological problems really amount to people making rotten choices. And they ought to be instructed to make different ones.
Can I? Wow. Borrow some toothpaste? Thanks.
When I talk about we disappearing, I don't mean that we physically disappear. What I mean is that we move out of the area of the brain that has to do with our personality, that has to do with our association to people, our association to places, our association to things and times and events. We don't exist in the associative centers in our brain that reaffirms our identity and reaffirms times and events. We don't exist in the associative centers in our brain that reaffirms our identity and reaffirms our personality. For the average person in the world who lives life and considers their life boring or uninspiring is because they've made no attempt to gain knowledge and information that will inspire them. They're so hypnotized by their environment through the media, through television, through people living and creating ideals that everybody struggles to become, that no one can actually become in terms of physical appearance and definitions of beauty and valor, that are all illusions, that most people surrender and live their life in mediocrity. And they may live that life, and the soul may never really, their desire may never really rise to the surface, so they may want to be something else. But if it does rise to the surface, and they ask themselves if there is something more, or why am I here? What is the purpose of life? Where am I going? What happens when I die? They start to ask those questions. They start to flirt and interact with the perception that they may be having a nervous breakdown. And in reality, what they're doing is that their old concepts of how they viewed their life in the world start to fall apart. We're in completely new territory in our brain. And because we're in completely new territory, we're rewiring the brain, literally reconnecting to a new concept. Then ultimately, it changes us from the inside out. If I change my mind, will I change my choices? If I change my choices, will my life change? Why can't I change? What am I addicted to? What will I lose that I'm chemically attached to? And what person, place, thing, time, or event that I'm chemically attached to that I don't want to lose because I may have to experience the chemical withdrawal from that? Hence the human drama.
I hope that you can come tonight. I really want to see you. I really want to talk to you. I know we can work things out.
It's the only planet in the Milky Way that has habitation that is steeped in enormous subjugation of religion. You know why that is? It's because people have set up right and wrong.
If I do this, I'm going to get punished by God. If I do the other thing, I'm going to get rewarded. This is a really poor description that tries to map out a path in life for us to follow, but with deplorable results, because there really is no such thing as good or bad. We're judging things far too superficially that way. Does that mean you're in favor of sin and licentiousness and depravity? No. It simply means that you need to improve your expression and understanding of what you're dealing with here. There are things that I do, and I know they'll evolve me. There are other things that will not evolve me. But it's not good or bad. And there's no God waiting to punish you because you did one or the other.
There is no God condemning people. Everyone is God's.
At the same time, God is the sort of placeholder name for those parts of our experience of the world which are somehow transcendent, somehow sublime.
I have no idea what God is. And yet I have an experience that God is. There is something very real about this presence called God. Although I have no idea how to define God, to see God as a person or a thing, I can't seem to do it. It's kind of like asking a human being to explain what God is similar to asking a fish to explain the water in which the fish swims.
God is a superposition of all the spirit from all things.
You are a God in the making, and you have to walk this path. But someday, you have to love the abstract as much as you love the condition of addiction. The only way that I will ever be great to myself is not what I do to my body, but what I do to my mind.
So if we're consciously designing our destiny, and if we're consciously, from a spiritual standpoint, throwing in with the idea that our thoughts can affect our reality or affect our life, because reality equals life, then I have this little pact that I have when I create my day. I say I'm taking this time to create my day, and I'm infecting the quantum field. Now, if is in fact the observers watching me the whole time that I'm doing this, and there is a spiritual aspect to myself, then show me a sign today that you paid attention to any one of these things that I created, and bring them in a way that I won't expect. So I'm as surprised at my ability to be able to experience these things and make it so that I have no doubt that it's come from you.
So the brain is capable of millions of different things that that people just really should learn, that how incredible they actually are and how incredible their minds actually are. And that not only do they have this unbelievable thing within their head that can do so many things for them and can help us learn and can actually change and adapt, and it can make us something better than what we actually are, and it can actually help us to transcend ourselves. That there may be some way that it can actually take us to a higher level of our existence, where we can actually understand the world in a deeper way, where we can understand our relationship to things and people in a deeper way, and we can ultimately make more meaning for ourselves in our world. We can show that there's a spiritual part of our brain, but it's a part that we all can have access to, and it's something that we can all do.
We have to formulate what we want and be so concentrated on it and so focused on it and have so much of our awareness of it that we lose track of ourselves. We lose track of time. We lose track of our identity. And the moment we become so involved in that experience that we lose track of ourselves, we lose track of time. That picture is the only picture that's real, and everybody's had that experience when they've made up their mind that they've wanted something. That's quantum physics in action. Physics in action. That's manifesting reality. That's the observer in full effect.
Your consciousness influences others around you. It influences material properties. It influences your future. You are co-creating your future.
Show me a sign today that you paid attention to any one of these things that I created, and bring them in a way that I won't expect. So I'm as surprised at my ability to be able to experience these things, and make it so that I have no doubt that it's come from you.
Consciousness is related to something fundamental.
Have you ever seen yourself through the eyes of someone else that you have become? What an initiation. Have you ever stopped for a moment and looked at yourself through the eyes of the ultimate observer?
I am much more than I think I am. I can be much more even than that. I can influence my environment with people. I can influence space itself. I can influence the future. I am responsible for all those things. I and the surround are not separate. They're part of one. I'm connected to it all. I'm not alone.
Knowing that there's this interconnectedness of the universe, that we are all interconnected and that we are connected to the universe at its fundamental level, I think is as good an explanation for spirituality as there is.
It is my belief that our purpose here is to develop our gifts of intentionality and learn how to be effective creators.
We are here to be creators. We are here to infiltrate space with ideas and mansions of thought. We are here to make something of this life.
To acknowledge the quantum self, to acknowledge the place where we really have choice, to acknowledge mind. When that shift, our perspective takes place, we say that somebody has been enlightened.
Quantum mechanics allows for the intangible phenomenon of freedom to be woven into human nature.
Quantum physics, very succinctly speaking, is a physics of possibilities. It opens fundamentally the question of whose possibilities and who chooses from these possibilities to give us the actual event of experience. The only answer that is satisfactory, both logically and meaningfully, is the answer that consciousness is the ground of all being.
We must pursue knowledge without any interference of our addictions. And if we can do that, we will manifest knowledge in reality, and our bodies will experience it in new ways, in new chemistry, in new holograms, new elsewheres of thought, beyond our wildest dreams.
All of us one day will reach the level of the avatars that we have read about in history, the Buddhas and the Jesus.
Welcome to the kingdom of heaven, without judgment, without hate, without testing, without anything. That we simply are has allowed this reality we call real, from the power of intangibility, to pull out of inertness action, chaos, and hold it into its form, and we call it matter.
How can we measure the effects? We get to live our life and see then if somewhere in our lives something's changed. And then if it has changed, we become the scientists to our life, which is the whole reason why we're here.
Don't just take it at face value. Test it out and see whether it's true.
Hey, you're back. I'm back. So you never answered my question.
What question?
How far down the rabbit hole do you want to go?
Ponder that for a while.
My name is David Albert. I got a PhD in theoretical physics.
I studied biochemistry at Rutgers University, and then went to chiropractic college at Life University in Atlanta, Georgia. My postgraduate training is in anatomy and physiology, neurochemistry, neurophysiology, and genetics.
I study quantum physics. I sometimes teach it. I've written a book on quantum physics and many books explicating the meaning of quantum physics.
After my PhD from Harvard, I went to CERN, the European Laboratory for Particle Research, and then joined faculty at Stanford. And my work there has been the development of unified quantum field theories. I have about 100 publications in this area, but perhaps I'm best known for the discovery of supersymmetric flipped SU5 grand unified field theory.
I make my living as an anesthesiologist, and every day as I put my patients to sleep, I kind of wonder where they go and why they're there in the first place. And that's one of the reasons that attracted me to anesthesia and the study of consciousness.
My name is Michal Ledwith, and for most of my life I was a professor of theology.
I'm Dr. Daniel Monti. I'm a physician with specialty training in psychiatry and human behavior. I'm on the full-time faculty at the Jefferson Medical College.
I actually got very interested in studying this whole topic of the brain and spirituality because it had to do with a lot of the questions that I was asking ever since I was a child about reality and how we understood truth and what was real. And as I grew up and as I realized that while spirituality was in some senses a very important part of trying to find those answers, science also was a very crucial part. And I was ultimately looking for some way of bringing those two forces together.
Well, my name is Candace Pert, and I'm a professor at Georgetown in the medical school.
Here we are actually filming great thinkers. Everyone in this room is a great thinker. Now that we got them thinking, that's always a trick, isn't it?
I should make it clear that I'm a graduate student in physics. I'm not a full-fledged theoretical physicist yet. But if fortune smiles on me and I continue to work like a dog on my problem sets and exams and whatnot, eventually what I hope to do with this is to apply fundamental quantum theory to quantum information processing.
So I decided, well, if I gave up being department chairman, and if I gave up all my professional committees, and I gave up all my government committees, I would have a block of time that I could put to work. Of course, I give up all my power positions, but you have to sacrifice something. I had to keep my day job because my family needed to be fed.
I presume that you're asking me how scientists can sound this wacko because I must be sounding wacko. It's really an interesting question. If you study science long enough, and seriously enough, and dig deeply enough, if you don't come out feeling wacko about it, you haven't understood a thing.
Adormecidos.